So I'm Randy Korthuis. I'm a Linden boy from birth to now. Grew up as a dairy farmer and then switched careers about 30 years ago. Started building houses. I met Janice at a Bible study at New Life Fellowship. I don't know, I was 20, something like that.
Yeah, something like
anyway,
that.
She was stalking me. I had to throw that in there.
It's terrible.
Yeah, so here we are.
I'm Janice Korthuis. I'm also a Linden girl. Just born and raised here. We met, I was 19 and he was 22. There's the details for you. And we've been married 37 years. We have 3 children and 2 grandchildren.
The story kind of begins here where we were, end of April, we were packing up and planning on heading home from Palm Springs.
Closing up for the
summer season and coming back up here.
Get in the car and we're heading to Sacramento, which is about 7 hours north, I think.
Yep.
And I just said to him, I'm not going to be able to help drive today because I'm off. Something's weird. I don't know. I think I pinched a nerve or something. So we drove and he drove and we went and stopped for lunch and everything seemed fine. And I just felt off. And so we get to our really good friends, Craig and Debbie's house in Sacramento. We always stop and spend some time with them when we're traveling.
He was Craig was our former pastor
up here,
and now he's pastors down in Sacramento.
And so we get to their house and have dinner, and we're sitting on the patio, and my head is getting really tired. I just keep shifting like this, and as we get ready to go to bed, he says, well, you should tell them what's going on. And they said, well, what's going on? And I said, well, I feel weird. I'm tingly, tips of my fingers and toes, and I said, and my lower back is weird. And at this point, we were all standing in the kitchen, and I said, I feel like if I lean back too far, and I went like this, and my legs just went out from underneath me, and Craig and Randy grabbed me before I whacked my head on the island. And I think that's when I thought, I am deteriorating.
Something's wrong here.
Yeah.
It's not just a pinched nerve.
Yeah.
It's progressive.
It's progressive. So our friends got up and Craig just said, what do you guys want to do? Do you need to go to the ER? And I just said, yeah, I don't think we have a choice. I think we have to go. So we got there at 7:38. You put me in a wheelchair at this point. I'm deteriorating that quickly. Puts me in a wheelchair and we begin the fun day.
Process of ER.
ER doctor actually comes out to us, and he was very compassionate. He kneeled down, and he says, well, it's called Guillain-Barré syndrome. And
affects 1 out of 100,000,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and he said that...
He said most people recover,
fully.
but it's a long journey. He said most people, it's 6 months to a year, and they're starting to walk and starting to function normal again, or learning all that stuff. And so emotionally, you're just kind of, okay.
And at this
what
point,
I hear is most people recover, and okay, this is the journey we'll be walking on. And
it's an autoimmune.
It's an autoimmune thing, and I don't understand it completely, but it's when your own autoimmune system attacks your spinal column, your spinal cord, and whatever's happening, it's eating away at the protective sheathing around all your nerves.
Probably within that hour or so, they got us a room up in ICU. And then they came and took me for an MRI.
Well, Monday, the very first night, before she was intubated, pretty much didn't sleep that night because it's got... What do you want from me?
It's the unknown. It's the scary. It's the...
at that point,
you're willing.
At that point, she's going downhill, and I'm waiting. This could go any direction. I could get a phone call in an hour saying, you need to get to the hospital to say goodbye. She could be completely better, and I try to hang on to the positive side of that. But you just don't know. And
And we've walked some hard paths
Yeah.
with our son. And so you know God is faithful, and he's good. And you also know that, I think of the worship song that we sing, he won't fail. He won't. And so you totally rest on his faithfulness to you. That's you want to say that's all we got, but that's all we got.
You still don't know what it looks like. That's the hard part is, God's in control. God's in control. And that's a true statement. But I was thinking about this earlier is you need to know more than that God's in control. You need to know what God is like. Then you want a reassurance that God's in control. God is good, and he's good by nature, not because of our circumstances. He's good by nature.
Even not, if not,
he knows us better
good.
than we know ourselves. He has the big picture. He understands all that, and then he's in control as well. And so you can have that peace that passes understanding if you wrestle with all that. But the hardest part is, okay, God, I know you're in control. I know you care. I know you love. But what are you going to do? But his grace is sufficient.
By Tuesday, early afternoon, I was going into respiratory failure.
Yeah, the doctor finally came about 4 o'clock Tuesday afternoon and said, we need to talk. He and I talked in the hallway, and I kind of gave him a brief overview of why the anxiety about intubation. He said, and I get that, but this is just life and death now. And she had finally gotten to that point too, where
I knew I wasn't going to live if I didn't.
If you didn't do this, that you don't have an option really anymore.
Yeah.
And so she was emotionally ready to do that.
But I woke up Wednesday morning 100% paralyzed. I could move nothing. I couldn't turn my head. I could feel you touch me, so you could, put your hand on me. Our friend Debbie would come in and massage my feet, but I couldn't move anything. And at that point, not that point, it was really the day before, where I just started asking God to take me home. I couldn't see through to the end of it. We have a son in heaven waiting for us, and he was going to be turning 35, and I thought it'd be pretty great to celebrate his birthday with him in heaven. And we had worship and praise music going on my phone 24/7. And it was real easy to just get kind of heavenly minded. I just kept my eyes closed and listened to music and pictured worshiping at the throne and thought, I'm ready to go. And I felt like that would be God's merciful thing to do to me, just giving him my opinion. And later when we talked about it, he said, well, when you were praying for God to take you home, I was praying God for 30 more years. So we know who God listens to. My lung functions were down to nothing.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Tuesday morning, because they were going to go with this diagnosis of GBS, they were going to start treatments for it. And it's a 5-day process. And so what the doctor said is it's not typical that we'll see any results for at least the first 3 days. And so maybe the 4th day we might, but sometimes we don't see results for 2 weeks. You just don't know. And so she hit the bottom on Thursday, and physically, and it was just okay. We're at the bottom, and now how long are we going to hang out there?
That Friday morning, I could wiggle my fingers a little bit, and so that sounds like nothing, but it was like.
Yeah, and the breathing test went from a -8 to a -9, which is actually an improvement. The higher the number.
You have to be on a -30 to get,
vacuum. You've got -8 on Thursday. Now you can suck -9, so you have a little more power. So minute, and you have to be at like a 30 before you can, be extubated. So that was Friday, and so that was that first glimpse of
For you, hope. I still was.
Maybe. Let's take it. And then Saturday it was a jump, quite a bit jump better. Maybe it was 12 or 14, something like that. And Sunday was up to 20.
Getting close. I think I did a 22.
22 on Sunday, and then Monday morning it was.
So Monday morning early, the respiratory therapist comes in, and he's got his little computer on his little pedestal they wheel around, and I had again the music playing, and there was a song playing, and I think it's Matt Mayer, but it says I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, and he walks in and he goes, hey, that's a really appropriate song. He goes, that's a cool song. And I'm, yeah. And then
thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up. So 2 minutes later, he turns around and just looks at me and he goes, are you a Christian? And I said, I gave him a thumbs up. That was my communication. And he said, can I just pray over you? And he grabbed my arm and he just prayed that my neurologist would approve the tube coming out. And because that has to be done. And he's like, we're getting this tube out today. And which was terrifying because I knew it had kept me alive, but I so wanted to get that thing gone. So then I heard him go out in the hallway and argue with the neurologist on my behalf and just said that this is kind of the critical point. It needs to come out before much damage happens. And I feel like, we can do this. And so he comes back in the room and he's like, it's going. And so by that time you were there and they got that tube out, and that was like a new lease on life. And I think that's the point where I thought, okay, I can do this. We're going the right direction. That was
tube came out on Monday.
Monday. Yeah.
And you could start to whisper.
Yeah.
And
Tuesday, I did not pass a swallow test. Thursday, finally passed the swallow test, and we were celebrating. And it's amazing how Jesus used the reference to water and it giving life, because I'm telling you, after 10 days of nothing in your mouth, to have water or ice chips was life-giving. It was amazing. So Friday morning, I had not slept. I was in bad shape. The physical therapist comes to me and says, we're going to get you outside today. And I thought that just sounded hideous. I did not want to get up. It sounded like too much work. And they put me in the wheelchair. We get outside and we hit those courtyard doors, and it's blue sky and birds are singing and the water fountains are going and the flowers are blooming. And I'm like, oh, there you are, God. And it was like the creation just changed my mental 180 degrees.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I could just feel God out by being outside. It was just so amazing. So
at that point, we were quizzing the physical therapist to say, okay, tell us about acute rehab and tell us where we're headed next. And she said, well, it'd be a regular hospital room. You'd probably get a room by yourself, hopefully. And I said, so what's acute physical therapy going to look like? Because initially I'd heard 4 or 5 hours a day. It's not this quick visit. And she goes, well, you probably get about 20 minutes a day. And then the rest of the time you're just staring up at the ceiling and feeling pain and all this. And I watched her. It seemed like when she had visitors, when Craig and Debbie would come, or even when I came and she was distracted, the pain was about 1/10 of what she felt when she was there by herself just thinking about it.
And it's not that it's less, but when it's just you fixate on it.
You fixate on it, and so I saw that as a pattern too. And so anyways, we talked to the physical therapist, and I go, okay, what if we
Why would we
left?
stay? Why would we stay?
Why do we stay here? What if we left? And she goes, she looks at me and says, are you ready? And I said, well,
because I wasn't walking at this point.
You were still in a wheelchair, but I had done a lot of that hands-on stuff.
He was turning me. He was.
Yeah, so I was very capable of that, I figured. She goes, well, honestly, I think you could do that. she agreed. And so
by 1:30 Friday, we were out of there.
So he signed the papers. We did have to sign a waiver.
We learned a new term.
You got to, yeah.
AMA, against medical advice. I had to sign and say, I understand that we are disappointing our doctor and no one is happy with this, but we're leaving.
We're out of here. And so everybody was happy for us.
They were
happy.
all, yeah.
And so anyways, an hour later, we're sitting back at home at Craig and Debbie's.
Spent the weekend there, and every day got better.
Every day got a little better. Yeah. So what was
Sunday
that?
We went.
Saturday morning, we get up, and I need to help her get out of bed. Sunday morning, I feel the bed wiggling, and I turn over thinking, okay, time to get her up. And there she is standing up.
With a walker.
With a walker.
Yeah.
She's ready to go.
I mean, every day just
progressed. It just progressed like that.
So Sunday we went to church. Our friend is a pastor down there, so I just wanted to go worship with God's people. Music is so important to me, and I just wanted to sing. I just wanted to praise God for what He'd done. At this point, we're thinking we've been given a hall pass, not having to go into acute rehab therapy at the rate that I'm improving, and so we were just waiting to go home till I could tolerate the drive. So we got up and had coffee with one of our nurse friends. He had coffee with us and encouraged us, and we left at noon Monday and walked in that door at 11:45 on Tuesday. Yep. So it was an amazing thing. It's such a varied, mine was so downhill quickly, and then so uphill quickly that, to look at me, you can't tell what we've been through. And so it's a very strange.
Yeah, you almost have to show pictures to verify. Yeah, she was in the hospital. We are not just making this all up. And
it was
so kind of an odd thing that way.
Yeah. Walking in the door the first time was amazing because I wasn't sure I would ever be here again. So that was walking into your own home after that is pretty overwhelming. And I think you just as you say that, I think, at first you're so grateful and every little thing, and we're so human. We are so human, and we get so back into complaining about things. And, when you first come out of it, you're like, I'm never going to complain again, and I'm going to be Pollyanna and so positive, and life is so amazing, but then we get in our humanness, we get dragged down by life. But it is such I think a reminder again in our lives of what's important, what matters.
Slow down a little bit.
Slow down a little bit, a lot. Be thankful for the people God's put around you. I'm very emotional about it still, and because I'm so overwhelmed at wrapping my brain around what God brought us through, and I'm overwhelmed that for us, it seems to be almost over. We're coming to the end of it. It hasn't even been 2 months from when it started, and that's a very I don't know what the word would be. It just kind of shakes you to the core that God, in His mercy, chose to give us a miracle, and that's humbling. Because it's also kind of scary because it's like, what's He going to want out of us now?
Yeah. God's preparing us for something next. Yeah. What else here? But okay, now I'm done.
You're done.